Father, we thank you for this day and the city in which we live. Guide us this evening as we make our decisions. In Christ's name. Amen. This is the regular meeting of Newnan City Council, January 28th, 2020. You have the minutes of the regular meeting of January 14th, 2020 before you. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion second. We drop the minutes as presented. Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion carried. You have a piece of paper at your desk this evening. It says unfinished business. This is an item that needs to be amended. The agenda tonight needs to be amended so that this item can be placed on our agenda. The item was advertised as a public hearing for this night in this place, and inadvertently was not placed on the agenda. So if I could get a motion to amend the agenda to have this placed under unfinished business.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second to amend the agenda to add this item. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. We'll move on. The next is an appointment to the Newnan Cultural Arts Commission. This is a replacement for Joanna Harvey. Appointment expire 6/21. Mr. Critco.
I'll place that on the next agenda, please.
All right. And the next is a new appointment to the Tree Commission. I also need that placed on the next agenda. Mr. Critco, the next is also a Tree Commission.
Mine as well. He's Mr. Cheek's gonna have to step down. We can send him a letter, please.
Okay, thank you. Certainly will.
And if I could just as well, on my, Ms. Harvey, I don't know if we did or not when she sent her letter in, but if we can send her letter to her,
I
sure.
think we already have it, we'll go.
Okay, if we just make sure, thank you.
Yes, sir.
And then Ms. Jenkins, you're on the Planning Commission. You got an appointment?
I do. I'd like to place a nomination, Mr. Alton West.
All right. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Thank
And
you.
I'd also like staff to send Mr. Greg Goss a letter
Absolutely.
thanking him for his many years of service.
Certainly will.
Thank you. The next, Mr. Critco, Parks Commission.
Mr. Jesse Tanner, please.
The name of Jesse Tanner
Yep.
is nominated. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you very much. Also, we have several guests here this evening. Ms. Jenkins has the names of the Newnan Youth Council.
We have with us this evening Lauren Vandenhorst, who's a 10th grader at Northgate High School. We have Caleb Griffiths, 10th grader at Central High School. Ashley Williams, who's a 12th grader at Newnan High and who is the secretary for this year. We have Bo Palmer, 12th grader from Newnan High, who is the chairman this year. And Jack Palmer, 10th grader from Newnan High.
All right. Thank you for being here this evening. We also have, and they're very obvious, and they're very handsome Boy Scout uniforms. We appreciate Troop 47 being here from Central Baptist. They are here tonight to earn the badge of communication. So welcome, and good luck on your road to Eagle. Thank you for being here. Okay, also we have with us this evening Melissa Griffiths, who has a special guest she'd like to introduce. Ms. Griffith.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. I just wanted to introduce our newest Superior Court judge for the Coweta Circuit, Judge Marquette Baker. She is housed in Troup County, but is serving Coweta as well. She was recently welcomed at the County Commission meeting, and I called her and said I didn't want the city of Newnan to be left out, that I knew you all would like to be able to put, excuse me, a face with a name. So thank you for having her.
Thank y'all for letting me come and say hello, Mayor, City Councilwoman, City Councilmen. I appreciate the opportunity to say hello and to meet all of you, many for the first time face to face. I can certainly tell that Judge Palmer's two boys are here. You could tell that y'all were Judge Palmer's sons, no matter what, without names or anything. I'm very lucky that your two Superior Court judges who sit here most of the time, Judge, they have been fantastic to me and have been so welcoming and so helpful. So I want to make sure that y'all know that. To you Boy Scouts, I'm proudly wearing my pin tonight that says my son is an Eagle Scout, who he got that last summer, and it was a whew kind of moment. So congratulations, keep it up. Good job. I know your parents are proud of you, and it's nice for me to see you here as well. I don't know if any of you have any questions for me. I'm from LaGrange. Most of my life I practiced in LaGrange. I was the Troup County Solicitor General for the past 14 years before this appointment. Very much looking forward to this challenge, and it has proven to be a challenge. I hope I'm rising to it and doing it the justice that it deserves. If any of you have any questions for me, I'd be happy to answer them. Otherwise, I really just appreciate you letting me come and say hello.
Anyone?
Congratulations.
Thank you, Joe.
Yep.
Thank y'all. Thank y'all very much.
Okay, we'll move on with the regular agenda at this point, or the amended agenda at this point, with reports of city manager. Mr. Phillips, do you have anything?
No, sir, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, I don't have anything this evening. Under new business, this is a consideration of the local maintenance improvement grant, which we know is LMIG, list for the streets proposed for maintenance. This is a resolution I guess you have before you. You've got the city streets listed. Any comments? Is there a motion?
So moved.
Approve.
Second.
Motion is second to approve the list that's presented by staff on LBIG. All those in favor? Motion carried. Thank you. The next is an ordinance to provide for the amended adoption agreement and amended general addendum for the city of Newnan, Georgia's Georgia Municipal Benefits, Employees Benefits System Defined Benefit Retirement Plan. You have this in front of you. The ordinance is there. You have an opportunity to review that. Are there any questions at this time? Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion is second. We adopt the ordinance as presented. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. The next, we will go into unfinished business, and we will take up that item that we amended our agenda for this evening. This is a public hearing that has been duly posted and advertised for tonight. And this is to inform the public that the city is intending to apply for a CDBG grant and a revitalization area strategy designation, and to obtain citizen input into the development and applications. Ms. Dunn, how are you?
Thank you very much. Doing well. The city is considering applying for a community development block grant. The CDBG program, as it's called, is federally funded and administered by the state. It focuses on benefiting low to moderate income persons by providing resources for livable neighborhoods, economic empowerment, and decent housing. The CDBG program has 3 main national objectives, and any project must meet at least one of those 3. And those 3 are that the project must benefit at least 70% low and moderate income persons. It must aid in the prevention and elimination of slum and blight, or it has to meet other community needs that pose a serious threat to the health and welfare of the community, where other financial resources are not available to meet such needs. And we have to certify that it does meet those conditions if they exist. In addition to the CDBG grant, the city is also applying for a revitalization area strategy designation, and will consider projects that meet a national objective within those boundaries. And you can see up here the map that we're working on. The 2 areas highlighted in purple actually have what we call poverty rate that is over 20%. In order to be part of that revitalization area, you have to have that 20% poverty rate. So, and the RAS, if you get that through DCA, will actually allow us to get up to 20 additional points towards our application. And when your maximum is 485, the 20 points really can help you get your project funded. The city is applying for up to $1 million, so the project activities will include housing rehabilitation, reconstruction, and infrastructure improvements or public building. The project will not displace any persons, and the budget will be determined once the scope in the project is finalized. In terms of beneficiaries, CDBG door-to-door income survey has to be conducted, and that will determine the number and demographics of the project beneficiaries. The last CDBG grant that the city received, as you recall, was for the Boys and Girls Club on Wesley Street, and that's been a while since we've applied for this grant. Please note that if any council members reside in the selected target area, and once we've chosen that, then the city will follow all conflict of interest procedures. Also, the city of Newnan abides by the following laws as they pertain to HUD-assisted programs. Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, Section 109 of the HCD Act of 1974, Title I, Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1968, the Fair Housing Act, Section 104B2 of the Housing and Community Development Act of 1974, Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973 as amended, Title II of the Americans with Disabilities Act of 1990, ADA, and the Architectural Barriers Act of 1968. We should also note that the project will be covered under the requirements of Section 3 of the HUD Act of 1968 as amended, and that Section 3 residents and business concerns are encouraged to apply. And with that, we'll seek public comment.
All right. This is a public hearing to inform the public of the City of Newnan's intention to apply for a CDBG grant and revitalization area strategy designation and to obtain citizen input in the development of the applications. And this is the opportunity for citizen input. And I understand Dr. Gibson may be here this evening. We wanted to speak to this issue. If that is her desire, if not, no pressure, but I was told you might want to speak. We would welcome you to do that, Dr. Gibson.
To the mayor and council members, I appreciate this opportunity to come before you. I would like to say to everyone that a few years ago, about 3 or 4 years ago, we had a task force that did a study for a couple of years on how to improve the inner city of Newnan, and they hit some key points. And some of the more pressing ones were taken care of. We appreciate everything that City Council has done. The Howard Warner Building has been renovated, and we do have a Boys and Girls Club there, as well as the Hope Global Initiative Group. But there is blight in the Chalk Level area, and we have a neighborhood organization that is working, but we appreciate what can be done with could be done with the grant that you are applying for those individual citizens who have homes there and are unable to keep them up. And we'd like for the City Council to know that there are members of the community who would like to work with you and with the grant in order to improve the areas as you go along, if it is granted that we would be a part of this. So, thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate those comments. They go a long way in the grant application. We appreciate it. Okay, anyone else like to speak to this issue? Okay, we'll close the public hearing at this time, and Ms. Donovan, move on to the next item on the agenda. Okay, so, and that item is the public hearing of a rezoning request for RZ 2019-9 Dominion Acquisitions LLC for 16.85 acres located on the Newnan Crossing bypass, a portion of tax parcel 08750110003. Ms. Donovan?
Yes, sir. This is a request for 16.85 acres from CCS Community Shopping Center District to RMH Residential Multifamily Dwelling Higher Density District. The site is currently vacant and is located between Newnan Crossing Bypass and Interstate 85 and is just north of the Springs apartment that received rezoning approval back in 2018. The applicant would like to build 202 affordable senior independent over 55 age-restricted apartment units. This means that 80% of the units will be occupied by at least one person over the age of 55. Now, all the units will be located in a single building, which you can see up here. It's going to be 4 stories. The targeted unit mix is 110 one-bedroom, 66 two-bedrooms, and 16 three-bedroom units. The average rents would be, and this is in 2020, between $464 and $1,237 per month for a one-bedroom, and between $557 and $1,485 per month for a two-bedroom, and that would include utilities. The development would include full kitchens, appliances, and exterior balconies/patios. Amenities will be designed to meet the physical or social needs of older persons, such as community garden, benches, grilling areas, fitness center, business center, game card and craft room, theater, laundry facilities, and a beauty salon. Staff has completed an assessment as required of the 8 standards, and I'll give you a quick summary of each. Staff felt that the use was suitable in view of the zoning and development of adjacent and nearby properties, since it's just north of the existing 320-unit apartment complex that's being built. In addition, there will be commercial office units in front of the Springs Apartments, which could serve the residents of both complexes. With the existing creeks, the bypass, and the interstate, the existing land uses will either be buffered or not significantly impacted by the change in use. Adverse impact on adjacent or nearby property, the greatest would be traffic. However, the complex would be located on a major street. The apartments are expected to generate roughly 787 additional trips. However, the traffic study they submitted found that the proposed development would have minimal traffic impact on the study area. And it is anticipated that the delay at the study intersections would increase by no more than 0.6 seconds per vehicle for any approach. Could it be zoned as used as currently zoned? The answer is yes. It is zoned CCS and is surrounded by commercial uses, so that would be, they would be able to be used as zoned. Would the project cause an excessive or burdensome use of public facilities? All multifamily developments in excess of 150 units must complete a community impact assessment as part of their application. This assessment evaluates impacts on streets, fire, police, water, sewer, and the school system. Each server provider is contacted, and that information has been included in your packet. In addition to those responses, staff also asked the police and fire chief to provide call numbers for the last year for the Forest of York, since it's a smaller but 55-plus development. Police answered a total of 35 calls, and fire responded to 55 and said most of them were EMS in 2019. After reviewing all responses, staff determined that the project would not have an excessive or burdensome impact on public services. It would have one, but not excessive. In terms of taxes generated, the project would generate $27,200 annually in property taxes for the city and over $530,000 in impact fees. In terms of the comprehensive plan, the future land use map shows this property as future clean industrial, so this project would not be compatible with the comprehensive plan's vision for this area. As previously specified, the applicant is seeking an RMH zoning, so an apartment complex would be consistent with the purpose and intent of the proposed zoning. Would the proposed use be supported by new or changing conditions not anticipated by the comp plan? The city completed its full update on the comp plan in 2016 and adopted a new zoning ordinance and corresponding map in September of 2017, and a multifamily development would not be consistent with either. Staff does feel the project shows a reasonable balance between the promotion of public health, safety, morality, or general welfare and the right to unrestricted use of property. Since 2013, the city has approved roughly 1,550 new multifamily units. Of those, 1,390 are market rate to higher end apartments. The remaining 160 are affordable with rates based on income. The project that is being proposed would fall into the affordable category, but unlike the 160-unit project, at least 80% of these residents would have to have a family member at least 55 or older. Currently in the city of Newnan, the Forest at York is a 72-unit, 55 and older apartment complex that provides income-based housing. There's also a community being built off of Newnan Lake that will include a component of 75 independent living units for seniors. However, those units would not be considered affordable. While there are several assisted living developments in the city, there are really very few independent apartment complexes specifically designed for seniors with limited income. So that this development would help meet the need that the comprehensive plan has identified of providing additional and affordable senior housing. So in summary, staff found that the development met 5 of the 8 standards. The Planning Commission held a public hearing on December 17, 2019, and recommended approval with the following 5 conditions. That 1, the project would be consistent with the plan, density, project data, amenities, proffered conditions, and architectural details as provided as part of the application. That the variance reflected in these documents for height, front building setback, and parking will only be granted upon consideration and final approval by the Board of Zoning Appeals. That the applicant's proffered conditions, which are included in your ordinance and in the packet, would be provided that any condition contradicted by the City of Newnan zoning ordinance and the city's, in that case, the city's zoning ordinance would rule. They showed some signage in there that we don't feel probably meets that ordinance, so we put that in as well. During the site plan review process, the applicant would demonstrate to staff the potential location on their site where the adjoining property owner could connect for inter-parcel connectivity. that the applicant agrees to pay their share for streetlight installation at the appropriate time, and that the applicant would conduct a feasibility study regarding constructing a walking trail pedestrian path on its property up to Lower Fayetteville Road. And that's the report of the Planning Commission.
All right, thank you. This is opportunity for the applicant to come forward this time.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm George Rosenzweig. I'm here tonight representing Dominium Acquisitions and Keats Family Partnership, presenting to you, if we can get it up here. There we go. Legends of Newnan, which, as Ms. Donovan told you, is an affordable, high-quality, age-restricted, independent senior living project. I have with me a group of experts who will be available to answer questions during the question section. Sean Reinhardt is the project manager. Mike Riley is the project architect. Franz von Leeuwen is the project engineer. Not with us tonight is Mark Sween. He's the project partner. He was here for the pre-planning meeting and for the Planning Commission meeting. He lost his mother on Saturday, and I told him I thought you would understand if he spent tonight with his family. But Mark was here to show that senior management at Dominium is wholeheartedly behind Newnan, and this, what I think you're going to see, is a very lovely project. Newnan needs Legends of Newnan. Why? Because, and this is an extract out of your recent housing study, over the next 20 years, the percentage of the population over 65 is going to increase by about 50% as a percentage of our population. Right now, current senior options are very limited. If you have the money, you can buy a new house, $350,000 plus. You can buy or rent an old house and repair the roof, repair air conditioning, the various things that go along with older property ownership. You can move into a new multi-family apartment complex with swinging singles and families and all that sort of thing going on. Or there's some multifamily available for seniors, but as Tracy Donovan just told you, it's very limited. And what Legends of Newnan does is expand the housing options for seniors in Newnan. It provides affordable new housing, not old rental, not old purchase, for people that are on fixed income, have a nest egg, a widow, that kind of thing. That's something that just is not available currently in Newnan. The typical resident, a 74-year-old female on fixed income. Age breakdown, 74% are 62 and older, 52% are over 70. The rents, this is a program under Section 42 of the Internal Revenue Code. It doesn't subsidize the tenants. What it does is provide a credit, a tax credit to developers that they in turn pass along in rent savings. And as Ms. Donovan told you, up there on the screen are the rents anticipated for 2020. We'll get to this in just a second, where we go through the evaluation criteria from staff, but staff did a good job. They're easy to work with. I like them. I consider them friends. But this project is not currently surrounded by commercial development. It just isn't. You have a Chevron that's been a marginal operation across the street. Up the road you have some big boxes, but commercial development has passed this property by. Here's the site plan Ms. Donovan showed you. I can't talk as quickly as she did, but nonetheless, I have a deadline, so I'm going to keep moving on these slides. Legends of Newnan is consistent with the philosophy of the land use plan. It expressed the intent for affordable, high-quality housing. It's centrally located in Newnan's medical corridor. Traffic is always an issue. Minimal rush hour traffic. Seniors aren't going to be out in rush hour. There's no demand on public schools. It allows current Newnan residents to age in place. And Dominium has found in its other projects across the country that about 60% of the residents move in from elsewhere to be closer to their grandchildren. We've proffered conditions. There's a lot of them. I know they're in your packet. But this project will be regulated by the Georgia Department of Community Affairs, which administers a program under the Federal Housing for Older Persons Act and Section 42 of the Internal Revenue Code. The project is deed and covenant restricted to protect the over 55 nature. Over 80% of the units occupied by 55 and older. We've proffered a specific condition that there will be no exit or entrance onto Lower Fayetteville Road, and the ground signage will be tasteful. The Planning Commission, Ms. Donovan went through the conditions. They're up there on the board, will be conditioned to be consistent with the plans and so forth. The Planning Commission unanimously recommended approval of this project. Now, I've told you a lot about how nice this is going to be, and I wanted to spend a minute on who is this Dominium group that's coming in to do the development. Well, Dominium's one of the nation's largest providers of affordable housing. Dominium's philosophy is to hold rather than flip its projects. Over $3 billion in owned properties, 47 plus years in business, privately owned, multi-generational, and they manage over 30,000 units in 22 states. I'm going to move fast on this, but I was just fascinated living in a historic community. Dominium does lots of stuff. And up here you can see on top, they took an abandoned Schmidt's Brewery in St. Paul, Minnesota, and renovated it into artist lofts for rental. I mean, this is a company that can do it all. That's not what they're doing in Newnan. It's going to be more like what you see up there on the screen. Tasteful interiors. They're going to foster relationships with grandparents and couples aging in place. One of the things you don't get if you tell a senior, well, you can rent something new in one of these large multi-complexes, you don't rent and live with people who have things in common with you. This is an opportunity for people to live with folks in a similar age group, similar tastes, similar backgrounds. On the zoning standards, Ms. Donovan told you we passed 5 of them. And just a word about the ones that staff didn't think we passed. The comprehensive plan provides for clean industrial for the property. That is a zone that doesn't even exist in your ordinance. They've never had an application for it. There's no market for it. Consulting, that might be fine. But you all know the area we're talking about. And to say that it would be better for the community to have a call center with people coming and going during rush hour traffic, as opposed to seniors who aren't going to have the traffic demands. It's inconsistent with the comprehensive plan. Okay, the comprehensive plan map. I think the plan itself actually provided for affordable housing. Now the use is zoned. It's zoned for a shopping center. This isn't farmland, it's zoned for a shopping center. It's been on the market for 10 years. Commercial development has passed that area by. Commercial development would be a lot more intense in terms of traffic, and your land use plan itself provides something other than commercial. It says it should be clean industrial, so even your own land use plan doesn't say this property's future is commercial. And then finally, changing conditions. Yes, you adopted a new land use plan and zoning ordinance not long ago. But since then, you have on our south side the 8 Partners complex, and then the medical corridor has taken off beyond anyone's imagination with all the doctor's offices, the rehabilitation, the Piedmont Hospital, Cancer Treatment Center of America. So I would suggest that actually we get pretty close to 100% in terms of the objective zoning standards. So that's our project. I think it's a lovely one. I think it's something we need in this community. I'd like to reserve the remainder of my time for rebuttal, please.
Thank you, Mr. Rosenzweig. This is an opportunity for anyone who is in opposition of this rezoning application to come forward. Anyone in opposition? Seeing no one come forward, are there any questions of Mr. Rosenzweig? I'm sorry, I forgot to ask you if you got any questions. Anyone?
I have one question.
Mr. Rosenzweig?
Well, it was for Ms. Tracy, or maybe Ms. Rosenzweig could help also. When I talked with a planning commission member about the proper conditions, he had mentioned something about the easement would be on a final plat, but I don't see that on there.
When they came in, if you're looking, I think it's condition number, right here.
Other than that, it's a great project.
It was during the site plan review process, the applicant would demonstrate to staff the potential location on the site where the adjoining property owner could connect for interparcel connectivity. That's what they ended up deciding on after back and forth regarding it. They didn't want to actually do an easement, but a location where they can do interconnectivity. And they'd work that out between the two property owners.
Okay, so that covers that.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right.
Any other questions?
Quick question. There at the turn-in for that medium break, is that going to be a lighted or unlighted, like a stoplight there?
It's my
Signal
understanding that
intersection.
right now there's not a plan for a light.
Okay.
We may have somebody here that, yep.
Well, in order to have a light there, engineering would have to warrant a light. I mean, it would be, and engineering would be telling us if it warranted a light, yeah. Okay. Any other questions?
I do. Now
All
I'm
right.
a little confused because I thought that this plan had connectivity to one lot, and that's all I saw, but now I'm thinking, well, what about the other lots to the, well, to my left, looking at it on one of these plans? Is that one asking to be involved in this as well? I thought I understood before now, but now I'm, look, on this map that you've got behind you, you can see where there's connectivity to the lot that is below.
Right.
But I don't see anything to the lot above, and not to the right, but above to the left, closest to the road. Is that what we're talking about?
Let me do just a little bit of explaining. The property on the south is the 8 Partners property where the apartments are going up. There, the 2 property owners on either side have had discussions about a slope easement and about connectivity. We've not had those discussions with the party on the north side. And so what was agreed upon, what we talked about at the Planning Commission, was in final site plan approval, a potential point of connectivity would be put on the site plan. But there's a lot of issues that are involved with connecting to an adjoining property. The property to the south, we know what that's going to be. Right now, they don't have any buyer, they don't have any specific plans for what's going on the north side. We don't know how much traffic, how intense it's going to be. So that's why after a lot of back and forth, Mr. Smith phrased the condition at the Planning Commission that what we do is mark the point of connectivity. So it's not on this yet, but it will be on the final site plan.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I've got a question that kind of just came to mind. I'm thinking about this, 202 parking units, 210 parking spots. If this is geared towards seniors, families coming to visit them, will there be enough parking for families, not only for the residents, but for parking, families to enjoy parking there as well, especially if they might spend the night, I don't know. something like that. Is that,
I think what they've found, and again, if somebody wants to elbow me out of here, tell me, but I think they've found that in some of their complexes, they have vacant parking lots that are undesirable and not, but this is Sean Reinhardt, the project manager. I'll pass the ball to him.
Thank you, George. Mr. Mayor and council members, Sean Reinhardt with Dominium. To answer that question, we have done extensive studies on all of our projects that are seniors and to determine what amount of parking is actually used and what amount of parking is vacant. And over several projects, we have determined what the best proportion of parking is. And it's actually based on a bedroom count versus a unit count. And the parking that we have here is reflective of that plan.
so you estimate it'll be adequate parking?
That's correct.
Okay. And since you're up there, just one other quick question. What is the average length of time you hold on to your developments?
Sure. We generally hold on to our developments for 15 to 20 years. It completely depends on the type of project, but with our new construction projects, we have a requirement to hold it for at least 15 years. But in this market, which we are very bullish on and we really like the city of Newnan, we would plan to redo our tax credits and which was called a resyndication, which would sign us up for another 15 years.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Okay, I'm going to close the public hearing at this time and ask for a motion from the council to accept the report and recommendation from the planning commission.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second, any discussion on that? All those in favor, opposed, motion carried. Now, I would like to ask the council for a motion on the application.
I make a motion to approve with Proctor's, and all the conditions that were approved by the planning commission.
Second.
Thank you. Okay, a motion to second. We approve the application as presented with the proper conditions that were presented this evening. Any discussion? Questions? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, thank you. Adopt that ordinance. Thank you. Thank you for being here this evening. The next item on the agenda is the Newnan City Council may review facility use data and provide direction related to the potential modification of the current facility use policy. You know, we've had 2 or 3 discussions about this. You've got it in your agenda. Mr. Craver has stood up. He's anxious, I'm sure, to go over this with us.
Waiting with bated breath.
Yeah.
Mayor Brady, members of the council, I'm here before you in response to a directive you pushed towards staff at your November 26th meeting regarding how we plan to continue to manage the now very much increased use of the facilities we've invested monies in over time. What you've been given in your packet are 2 documents. One is on the overheads here. You have it at your station as well. This lists out the current standing agreements, which are annual contracts we have with service providers who are all doing a wonderful job, providing, you know, programs to members of the community, may it be athletics or other types of programming. In addition to that, we also have information included at your station and at the overhead here that talks to more specifically the policy that was adopted a number of years ago in advance of hiring Katie Mosley and spinning up our leisure services department. The reason why I bring both of these to your attention is that we're kind of in conflict. We are granting long-term users an opportunity to have annual contracts to utilize these facilities on, let's say for conversation's sake, a Tuesday and Thursday from 4 to 6. And we now, with 7 users in there and 3 more waiting in line behind them, we've created a condition whereby you can no longer, or it's very difficult for you to get in there for a one-time use. So the staff doesn't have a recommendation outside of understanding a little bit more from this corporate body what your intentions are, the use of these facilities. If you'd like for us to try and pull back to where we were when we originally adopted a policy that created a condition to allow for more frequency of use, then we're going to need to figure out a way to better manage long-term requests. Or if we're satisfied as a group with the long-term contracts we have and the services and programs being provided there, then maybe we can come back and curtail the policy that talks to the frequency of use. So there's a lot of words to say, we adopted a policy to get a lot of people in there, but since then, we've continued to approve longstanding agreements that now make our policy impossible to achieve because we don't have space available. So if I can,
So your question is, do we like what we thought, or do we like what's really happening?
yes, sir. And the staff we're satisfied, and the community seems to be satisfied with either. Just direction from you guys, if you're happy with it the way we are, or you want to go back to the way we originally worked it.
Honestly, I think that we've accomplished what we wanted to accomplish, which was getting some use and getting the community involved in, I mean, because for a while we had empty buildings with nobody coming and nobody being able to afford to get in there. And then we started working with organizations whose mission is to impact the children in our community, and they've done that. And it is used, it is well attended. Hundreds of children, as you can see from these numbers, are being impacted. And I think that doing anything that would pull back on that impact would be a wrong move for us.
And I agree. And additionally, all of those long-term uses are annually renewed.
Yes, sir,
And so
they are.
if we've got a bad actor.
We
can
review them, we try to present, it's
Right.
staff is sometimes stuck in a position where we feel that we're picking winners. The success of the facilities and the investment in the programs, we now have a rush to you guys. Who can get to the council first and I want Tuesday and Thursday from 4 to 6. Well, if I get there first, maybe I can get my 4 to 7, and then you're out on this and that. And so we're likely going to have a hard time solving that this evening. But what I'm hearing from you is you enjoy the long-term contracts that are serving the community. We enjoy that too. And what we can do is then it makes it difficult for me to have my daughter's 10th birthday party on a Saturday because we've got long-term holders in there playing. And so we understand that. That's okay. We'll go that route. And maybe we can develop a way in which we set a ceiling on those long-term contracts so that we don't have one long-term contract user in there for 8 hours a week. You may have an individual who's in there and they have it for 4 hours a week. Maybe we set a ceiling, and maybe we figure that out at a future meeting. But
And I like the way you're going in that. I think that, because of the amount of use that some of them have, maybe we need to set, hey, you can only have it so many hours a week. Or we also look at how many numbers you're serving.
Yes, ma'am.
Because of course we don't want to go down this list and take the one who's serving the most kids and say you can't come in here anymore.
That's right.
Just to go with the one who's serving the least number of kids. In a long-term contract situation, that is. So maybe we can look at what that impact would be, and kind of do some sort of comparison to us to see what that looks like and how many hours that opens up, by doing a cap, what that looks like reasonably.
And we have very good relationships with these programs that are in the facilities. I'm sure if we went to them and talked to them and asked for that, they're giving the information that was given to you to consider this evening, that we could go to them and talk to them about the intent of the council. And I know that they're all enjoying the space, hence we have a busy calendar.
Can we pay attention also to how many groups or individuals that we do turn away because they're only coming in and saying?
Yes, we have a lost business list. We're aware of that. And it's growing larger as a result of having long tenured programs in there.
So you understand the direction?
I do.
Anyone else?
Yep.
Opinion on it? Okay. So no action needed?
Yes, sir.
You've got direction?
Yeah, thank you.
We'll move on then. Under visitors, this is a request from the Newnan Carnegie Library Foundation to close a part of West Broad Street between Jackson and Brown Streets on June the 5th, 2020, and I'll call attention to your space. You have something from them regarding this program is Lit Fest. This is the second not the second year they've had this, but the second time they've had this. They had a couple of years ago, and now it's back in the summertime. So just bring your attention to that as a takeaway this evening. But you have that request before you. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second to grant the request. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. The next item is from Valerie Render. She's requesting to block 2 parking spaces at the Wadsworth Auditorium parking lot for food trucks on Saturday, June the 20th, from 3 to 10 p.m. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second to grant the request. Any discussion?
I have a question. Is she talking about in front of the Wadsworth or actually in the parking lot?
The parking lot.
It
In the-
says parking lot.
Yes, in the parking lot, sir, to the side of the facility.
Just making sure.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so I do have a motion and a second. I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. That brings us to the end of our regular agenda. Has anyone else come to this meeting this evening for an off-agenda item? Seeing no one?
Nope.
If you'll come forward, address the council, please.
I believe you have it listed on here, and I may be getting ahead of myself.
You'll state your name for the,
My name is Rhett Rowland,
all right?
and I live in Newnan, been a resident of Newnan for the past 17 years. Graduated from Newnan High School many years ago, so familiar with the city and the county. But briefly, I showed up tonight about the Newnan Entertainment Sports District project. Are we speaking on that now?
No, sir. That meeting actually was at 5 o'clock this afternoon.
Oh,
And,
okay.
and that was although we took action, we have an agenda where we could take action. It was a work session. It was not a public hearing. So we took no public
Okay.
comment at that time.
Yeah.
But there will be other opportunities in the future to speak to that issue. So if you'll make sure you avail yourself of our website, or call down to City Hall.
I will. I
Thank you.
will. Okay, wonderful. When do you anticipate that?
Well, our next agenda item meeting will be at 5 o'clock, the 25th.
25th, the second meeting.
The fourth Tuesday in February, February 25th, at 5 o'clock at this location, like we had today.
All right.
All right?
All right,
Thank you very
very good.
much.
Thank you.
We appreciate you being here.
All right.
Thank you. Anyone else? Mr. Jones?
No, thank you.
No, I have nothing. No, sir. Good. Mayor Pro Tem Alexander, will you please take us into executive session for legal?
Yes, sir. I move that we now enter into closed session as allowed by OCGA 50-14-4 and pursuant to advice by the city attorney for the purpose of discussion. And in open session, adopt a resolution authorizing and directing the mayor or presiding officer to execute an affidavit in compliance with OCGA 50-14-4, and that this body ratify the actions of the council taken in closed session and confirm that the subject matters of the closed session were within section permitted by the open meeting law.
Second.
Motion and second, we go into executive session for legal. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We're in executive session.